Just yesterday, we had a draft by the Supreme Court leaked. It was leaked. It's the first time in history the Supreme Court has ever had a vote like this leaked. So a lot of people are talking about it. We have this article here by Timcast that I thought broke it down pretty well. They just talk about a few of the quotes by Samuel Justice Alito, as well as Politico, who released the breaking news. They released a full 93-page draft of what the vote was supposed to be. It has a full breakdown if you want to go over there. I'll probably link it down in the description below. We have where is it? This from Politico. They have a statement regarding the story. Says, editor's note about our just published story. Team, just now on our site, we've published a story along with an accompanying sidebar and document a draft Supreme Court opinion that would overturn Roe v. Wade. After an extensive review process, we are confident of the authenticity of the draft. This unprecedented view into the justices' deliberations is plainly news of great public interest. We take our responsibilities to our readers and our publication with great seriousness. Our obligation, as protected by the First Amendment, is to report the news and inform our audience. Our journalism speaks for itself, and no different here. Matt Daphna. So whoever released this draft, I hope is publicly named, and then once publicly named, I hope there's a trial, and he's convicted, because you should not have released this draft. I don't care what opinions are held in the draft. You shouldn't have released it. This is the first time in our country's history that someone released this before the vote was actually held. So that blows me away that it was even released. Someone, I believe one of their staffers released it. The draft was authorized by Justice Samuel Alito, who called abortion a profound moral issue. The document, dated for circulation on February 10th, 2022, indicates that the court has moved to strike down both Roe v. Wade and 1992 Parenthood v. Casey. Now, I'm actually fine with that. A lot of people are really angry about it right now, but I'm not really sure why. This doesn't really change anything according to law, like the laws in all of the states. If there was a state that was not okay with abortion, they already had restrictions, and if you're in a state that was okay with abortion, they already didn't have restrictions. So this is going to change nothing in regards to that. People are just angry that the federal government is not looking from above on the other states that aren't okay with it. They're just looking. They just want to have the government be able to say, hey, look, we're upholding this, so that means you guys have to allow it. But with it being overturned, now places like Texas and Florida and wherever else won't have to worry about the federal government trying to intervene in the restrictions they put, which I'm actually fine with that. I really am, because like I said, it is now a state issue, so it moves somewhere where they're okay with that, I guess. Because if you live in Texas and you're okay with abortion, Texas isn't. So move somewhere else. Move to like New York, or move to California. We have this here on page 67 of the draft. Then this is kind of where I fall with the justice that wrote this. We end this opinion where we began. Abortion presents a profound moral question. The Constitution does not prohibit the citizens of each state from regulating or prohibiting abortion. Roe and Casey arrogated that authority. We now overrule those decisions and return that authority to the people and their elected representatives. The judgment of the Fifth Circuit is reversed, and the case is remanded for further proceedings consistent with this opinion. Now, this isn't official. This is just a draft. But people are still up in arms about it, because obviously if the vote is going to be held, this is where it currently stands. But I'm not entirely sure why people are up in arms about this. It even says it here that it is now a state issue. So if you and all your friends in your community are okay with having abortions, or they agree at a certain point of restrictions, vote on that, vote for people that agree with that as well, and you'll be fine. Because I believe we have here from the Associated Press, abortion's restricted in most cases, as you know, and then they have all the different states, and they have the different colors indicating at what week it's prohibited or restricted. So clearly half the country is not okay with abortions. There's only a few states here that have no restrictions at all. So I'm not really sure. Oh, it looks like we have a few over here as well, New Jersey and Vermont. So we have a total of 5 states that have no restrictions at all. The overwhelming majority of them have some restrictions at some point. Like even here in California, we have exceptions for life and death. Over in Texas, they restrict it up to 6 weeks because that's when the heartbeat is found. In most cases with pregnancy, so that's their heartbeat law. So I'm not really sure why people are up in arms about this, and a lot of people are just arguing for women's rights and stuff like that. But what it comes down to is, when does life begin? Because if you're okay with, let's see here, no restrictions, Oregon. So no restrictions means all the way up to 9 months? Is that what we're saying? Or are we okay with babies being aborted at the 8th month? Because by that point, they are more than ready to come out, and they'll be more than fine. There's total viability there. There's no argument for non-viability at 7-8 months. There's no way you could argue that. And most of the Democrats don't even argue that it is a life. So when does life begin in their opinion? And I don't think you can go anywhere else other than life clearly begins at conception, because any other deviation from that just seems to fall off. There's no logical path to go down from there. If I start saying that life begins at after a month of conception, well, where do I draw that conclusion? Is it because it's about to develop a heartbeat? Is it because its brain's beginning to develop? What makes a human a human? So I don't think you can draw that line anywhere other than, a sperm has entered the egg and conception has happened, and now a human life, it is on the course of becoming a human life. I don't think you can argue otherwise. Like, there's no way you can ever argue that a 6-month-old fetus is not going to become a human. That it's going to become a person. And the other argument is, well, you shouldn't be able to force a woman to carry a child, but I'm not forcing anybody to carry anything. Now, in cases of rape, clearly that is horrible, but most people aren't talking about cases of rape, especially because it's something like 98% of abortions are for pure convenience. So if we are talking about cases of, rape and stuff like that, if you get it, if you're raped and you get pregnant because of the rape, then yes, you should clearly be, you should clearly have access to abortion. There's no way we should restrict you from that, because that's horrible. I couldn't imagine the trauma that someone would have to go through having to hold on to a rape baby. But if you wait, like if you get raped, you get pregnant, and then it's like the 6th month, I think you've waited a little too long. And I don't think you should you've just waited past the point of no return. If it's within the first few months, it's not really developed yet, I don't really see a problem with that. But that's not what people are arguing. People are arguing for just abortion outright. They just want to be able to have it. And I do not agree. I do not agree with that sentiment. Abortion is wrong. There are clearly some circumstances in which that it should be available, but I also don't like the government restricting people, from doing these things, but then they also have an obligation to protect life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if it is a human life, then the government's supposed to protect it, but then they're infringing on other people's rights, it seems like. So it's just a really difficult argument to have, and that's why I think it should just be left up to the states. And this decision overall is a good decision. Now California can have their laws and the way they want to do things. Texas can have their laws and the way they want to do things. Florida, everywhere else, it just become, government needs to be more localized as is. So the federal government withdrawing some of their power, I'm always up for that. I always am. And if you want to go to a state like California where they will let you have an abortion all the way up to, until the fetal viability, whatever that means, go right ahead. But I don't really get the government upholding that. I don't really want the government upholding that. The government needs to retract a lot of things other than Roe v. Wade, and this is good overall. And of course, now we have a bunch of people protesting outside of the Supreme Court over this, which is obviously to be expected. But reading this article here from the New York Times, you don't hear any counter arguments other than, oh, it's infringing on women's rights, it's this and that, and it's never addressing the arguments that Republicans have. I'm not even a Republican. I actually agree with the pro-choice argument. There are plenty of circumstances in which abortion is right, but there's also plenty of circumstances in which it's not, and no one wants to have that middle ground argument anymore. It's either we ban it outright, or we let it be available outright. But a lot of these arguments here, like I'm saying, they're talking about infringing on women's rights, which, how is it infringing on women's rights? Last I checked, you have to consent to have sex unless you're raped. So if you're having sex willingly, you are willingly taking that chance at having a child. So if you're using condoms, if you're using contraceptives, if you're doing whatever it is you do to make sure you don't get pregnant, and it still happens, well, the only surefire thing to do to not get pregnant is to stay abstinent. So any other thing you do, condoms, contraceptives, or whatever, there's still that small little chance that you could get pregnant. You always need to keep that in mind. It's not something you can just do and have no repercussions from. And just because you messed up and you're like, oh, I'm 5 months along, I don't think I'm gonna be able to afford a child. Well, maybe you should have thought about that way back when, a few months ago. Like, I don't get it. We have a few statements here from some of the protesters here. I am disappointed this became a reality, said Juliet O'Shea, 17. Last year we attended the Women's March. We were protecting our rights then. Today we are fighting for them. Anna Wong, 15, brought the same sign she had taken to the Women's March, saying she had kept it to remember the experience, not use it again. And they're just talking about how the court's going to overrule Roe v. Wade and would ban abortion immediately, which a number of states would ban abortion immediately. That, I don't really know what they mean by that, because the states that want to ban abortion have already banned abortion. And that's what I was trying to get at earlier. This article doesn't make any counter arguments to what the right says. What if I said during this video that it's a human life and that the government needs to protect human life? Okay, so explain to me how a baby that is in the womb is not a baby just because it's in the womb. Explain to me that. If we can come to an agreement on why that baby is not a baby, then we can talk about why it's okay to then kill it. There should not be any argument on whether it's a life or on whether it's a human. But that is the argument that we're having nowadays. And like I said at the start of this video, I don't think you can go anywhere else other than a logical fallacy. You can't say anywhere else after conception that life begins. And the argument that I have heard and read is that it depends on viability. But someone born in Africa, their life is not worth less than someone born in LA just because of the technology available. because if a baby born at 4 or 5 months in Africa, if that happens, it's probably going to die. But if it's born here in America and in LA, 4 or 5 months, they could probably hook it up to some machines and it'll be fine. But if you go off the Democrat point of view, they think that the life in LA is worth more just because of the technological advances that are available, and I do not agree with that. I don't, and I don't really know where else to leave this other than overall this is good. Not a lot of things are going to change legally wise. If you're in a state that restricts abortion, it's still going to be restricted. If you live in a state that doesn't restrict abortion, it's still not going to be restricted. It's literally just the Supreme Court giving the power back to the states, and I am all for that. So I'm gonna leave the video here. I don't think there's really any more else to talk about. I'll probably make a follow-up video on this in the future, I'm sure, because I'm sure the judges will change their opinions, change their vote, or maybe they won't. Maybe it'll go through, and then they'll actually have something to complain about once it actually goes through. As of right now, nothing's gone through. It's just a rough draft. Even if it goes through, no laws are going to change, except for federally. It won't uphold abortion federally anymore, but state-wise, depending on your state, like I've said multiple times now, you'll be fine. Well, I'm gonna leave it there. If you like my video, please leave a like, obviously. If you like my content, please share it with whoever, friends, family, social media. I'm cool with that. Subscribe to me on YouTube. Subscribe to me on Rumble, same name on both. If you want to follow me on Twitter, this is my Twitter here. I tweet randomly and I tweet about when I upload. If you want to leave a comment, that's obviously greatly appreciated. I will try to respond to comments, seeing as I don't get a whole lot right now. So if you do want to comment, obviously it's always greatly appreciated. If you have ideas for videos or topics I can look into, more than welcome to that. But mostly just gonna stick with current topics and stuff to talk about right now, because this stuff is crazy. I'm just gonna pull up this map again. It's just funny. I mean look at this here. None of this is gonna change. None of this is gonna change. So ultimately, does it even matter? Does it even matter? All right, have yourself a good day. Peace out.
Hi there. If you're seeing this video, it's because you're watching an old video of mine. I previously was posting under the name Gukuhlt Bear. I figured that in the long run, if I want to continue doing YouTube, that I need to have a more professional name. I don't think people are going to want to get news stories and commentary from whoever is named Gukuhlt Bear. That channel will remain up. I'll leave all the videos up on there. I'm going to re-upload all the videos that I made this year and just add this at the end of them. I'm no longer going to be posting on Gukuhlt Bear. I will be posting on this channel here on screen, Tyler Today. I have changed all of my handles to Tyler Today. That is going to be the name that I will be posting under from now on. There's Tyler Today on YouTube. There's Tyler Today on Rumble. Rumble does not let you do spaces, so it is Tyler Today on Rumble. And if you followed me on Twitter, you don't have to go look for another account. All I did was change my @. It was Gukuhlt Tyler. It is now @Tyler Today YT. Someone already had the original Tyler Today, so I just added the YT at the end of it for YouTube because I didn't know what else to put. But if you're seeing this video, please subscribe to the new channel. I appreciate you guys watching the videos. I appreciate everyone who did subscribe to Gukuhlt Bear. If you did subscribe to Gukuhlt Bear, please come subscribe to the new channel. I will be posting on the new one. Thank you.